Welcome back to the workshop. I'm Josh, and I'm joined by Ben Holti this week. Ben has been with Derek's for like 10 years.
Yes, sir. Yep.
And is a great person to have on this week's video because we are answering all of your questions about knife sharpening that you have left on our YouTube video comments and on our blog, and even some through our customer service team. But we're going to take some time to answer some common questions that we've seen, some repeats, and give you guys some demos to hopefully get all those questions answered. All right, we'll kick it off with Stan from Panama City. And Stan asks, he wants some topics on two different tips. He says serrated edges with fixed or variable serrations and using the work sharp tool to repair a damaged blade. On the second one, repairing a damaged blade, go check out, I think 2 videos ago, we did one with Steve Baker, who was repairing a chip and a tip repair. Go check that one out and you'll be able to answer a lot of your own questions by watching that. But as far as serrations go, you asked about fixed versus variable serrations. I think what you're referring to is the size of the serration. Ben, how do you like to sharpen those?
So there's a couple different ways. If you're doing a manual sharpener, you can use a rod or a file to get into the front of each serrated edge, and then you'll want to deburr it on the backside. And then when you're getting into more of a powered sharpener, like what we have with either the Ken Onion with the blade grinding attachment or the KTS, you just bring the belt up the backside and it'll flatten off to match up with the grind that was originally there on the front from the manufacturer. Straight up, if those serrations are totally gone, the teeth are gone, it's really hard to bring them back. So we can help maintain ones that are still there, but again, hard to make them again.
Yeah, if you do need to totally repair those, like a tapered diamond rod is going to be really effective, or variable size ceramic rods that'll fit in there, although it's going to take a bit more work. Don asks, what purpose or application would the use of a steel used in between sharpenings play in knife maintenance?
Said it in the question right there, Don. Well done. It's maintenance. So essentially what you want to do when you're sharpening on a steel, you don't want to let your edge get so bad that the steel isn't making a big enough difference to get it sharp. So if this thing is super dull, I'm going to spend a whole heck of a lot of time trying to sharpen it on a steel. And so I'd prefer to avoid that by making sure that my knife is maintained. Now, Josh, you brought in a sales guy, so I'm going to sell a little bit right here. The traditional steels work well, but you have to be a fairly talented person to do it. You have to figure out what angle it is that you want, and then maintain that throughout the entire process, which isn't all that easy. We have one that built in the angle guides, so it makes it pretty darn straightforward to at least set up that angle, and then you maintain it after that. Mm-hmm. So that's my little spiel. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, what's happening there, we've talked about this a little bit. When a knife gets, here's your sharp knife, and when it gets dull, that edge can tend to roll to one side or the other. Eventually that rolled edge with too much pressure applied will break off and you're left with that flat spot. We've talked about that. But if you catch it when it rolls, what you're doing is coming in with the steel. You're not actually removing material. You're just pushing that back to being straight. It's really similar on a strop or on a ceramic or on either a honing steel or a ceramic hone. And so that's what you're trying to catch it before it actually dulls completely. Because a steel is not going to be able to put an edge back on. All right, we've got more to get through. Jeremy says, don't trust Josh. His shop is too clean, and I can't wait for future episodes.
I'll give you some other reasons not to trust Josh, but yeah.
Yeah, that's not good. Okay. Yeah, this is, I won't lie, this is a shop that we use in the office for various testing and working on small projects. So we do try to keep it clean back here, but maybe I'll drop in a picture here of what my actual home shop looks like.
Can you pop it like right there, Steven? That'd be great.
Yeah, it's moving on. Bill says, I'm looking forward to learning more about sharpening. I have a model WorkSharp KTS. I know it's old, but it works great. In addition to sharpening regular steel knives, I also bought some diamond belts to sharpen our ceramic knives. I hope to learn more about sharpening ceramic knives from your videos. I don't know if we're going to cover ceramic knives all that often, but Ben knows a little bit more than I do. What do you recommend?
Yeah, and here are the key things, though. The belts that we have on the standard WS KTS are ceramic. So ceramic versus ceramic doesn't work very well. You'll beat up the belts really, really quickly. So those diamond belts that you got are great. One thing to alert you about is that you're not gonna. Odds are you're not gonna get a burr generated when you're sharpening a ceramic edge, and they'll be a little bit toothier when they finish the sharpening. The other thing is that you had a nice little investment there buying those diamond belts. So I want to let you know you don't need to use those for any other standard steels. You'll just end up kind of gumming up the abrasive, and much rather have you sharpening with the abrasives that cost you like $10 a pack as opposed to roughly 30, right?
Yeah.
And then another way to sharpen ceramic would be like on a stone, I believe. I think diamond stones work fairly well. But yeah, that's really the most I know about those off the cuff.
Ranger 49 asks, I have your electric sharpener. Keep rounding off the tips on my knife, so I've stopped using it. What's the best way to keep this from happening? We hear this question a fair amount with a powerful abrasive and sharpener. It can happen, but we definitely have some tips to see or to help you make sure that you don't round the tip off. It basically comes down to you have a flexible abrasive, and as you draw the tip across, the belt will form and pull around the tip.
Yep.
And it can cause rounding. So the key to that is to stop with the tip of the knife halfway or just less than halfway across the belt. I'll see if I can get a good demo here. So I rest the knife in the guide, power on, pull through, and I'll stop right as my tip is in the middle of the belt. And that's going to make sure that I leave a really, really sharp tip. And actually, it'll put back on a really sharp tip. The same thing is true on the cat onion sharpeners. The same thing is true on the blade grinding attachment, and on manual sharpeners. Stopping with the tip instead of drawing it all the way off to the side, it can be important to stop with the tip on the belt. Less of a big deal, doesn't usually happen. What is more likely to happen is if you've got too much pressure and you push off the edge, you can actually maybe chip or you're barely grinding at the tip there. Rather than if you lift it off, you're fine. Anything to add there?
Yes. On the standard knife and tool sharpener, when you're pulling through, I'm using this just to kind of accentuate it. Pull straight through. And then, like he said, stop halfway across that belt, right? We've seen a lot of customers do this. They pull through and they really extremely go up like that. And that is absolutely encouraging that belt to wrap around it and take your point off.
Philip says, I struggle a lot with angle control. One thing that might help is to use lighter pressure. If you're really white knuckling something, you're going to have a really hard time maintaining an angle. But if you come in with light pressure, you're much more likely to be able to maintain consistency.
It's a hard trick to learn. And again, I'm a salesperson, so I'm really used to our products, but most of ours are angle guided. So you at least get a reference point. So just for example, just right here, pop this little guy, and at least getting yourself a reference point is going to help you a ton. So you at least get that right here with the majority of our products, and the same thing with the knife and tool sharpener. The other thing that you had said right there that jogged my memory is when you're sharpening on a manual item, you're used to pushing really hard, right? Because you want to get through all that material. When you're sharpening with any of our belt systems, there's no need for that. The belt's moving fast enough, you don't have to push through, and you have much more control if you're nice and light and stay high in the guide. So instead of pushing down on something, I tend to stay kind of high and stay right there touching that guide. That way I've always got edge control to help me out.
If you don't have a work sharp that has an angle guide on it, you've got more of a traditional stone, whetstone, diamond stone, you can, I've seen guys use their chop saw, cut a little angle piece of wood, or stack some coins or quarters, build up something that's going to give you consistency. You may not know exactly what the angle is, but we do have a video on that, is figuring out what angle is on your knife. But the biggest thing is consistency.
There's a reason there's all these different angles, yet we still get shaved sharp edges, right? It's because you just keep it consistent. So yeah, if you find it and you've got it, just stick with that.
All right, a couple more here. 19 Bears fans since 79. Well, I think you made a wild card game this year. That's
good luck with Trubisky.
Yeah, maybe that's all we'll say. Okay, on the home for the guided work sharp system. When sharpening a spear point or drop point blade, do I use the smooth hone or the ribbed section? We've got this ceramic rod section that snaps into the guided sharpening system. And it's got a smooth section of abrasive. I think that's what I'm showing. And then it has a ribbed section. The ribbed section acts like a slightly more coarse abrasive. With a spear point or a drop point, with a traditional, a curve, you can sharpen this on a flat style stone. And as you draw around, you can follow the curve of that. Obviously, I would prefer to lock this into the guide. I would say that on a spear point or drop point, you don't need to then use the ribbed section. You can just use the flat or smooth ceramic, and you'll get great results. If you have a recurve or something crazy like this, I believe this is a 708B from We Knife Company. It's kind of cool, kind of crazy hawksbill knife. Anyway, this crazy curved blade is not going to be able to be sharpened on a flat surface. It doesn't work out. You're going to end up scratching the knife in different points because you're only making contact at the corners. For knives like this, or maybe more traditional, you've got like a recurve knife style, I would recommend using the interrupted surface. And that's going to be a slightly more coarse abrasive that will follow the curve of the blade all the way around.
It's nice to have that round because just exactly what you had said before, that square won't fit in there. And then it ends up getting everything all messed up.
I think that's about all we've got time for. Like I said in the beginning, if you guys have questions, leave those in the comments below. We love answering those. We love interacting and seeing what you guys are struggling with so that we can try to help out. And hit that thumbs up button if you like Ben. We'll see you next week.
We'll see a lot of thumb downs. Thanks. See you guys.
Thanks for tuning in this week. If you want to check out some of our previous videos, click the link here. Or if you want to subscribe, click down here. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.